A storm has been brewing, and in fact, it might be of the cyclone variety. Listen, if you've been paying attention to the Street Fighter scene, browsing the Twitters lately, you know that the Iron Cyclone Zangief has been terrorizing the streets of the Street Fighter 6 community, and it's pretty interesting because this character was largely irrelevant for the first season of Street Fighter 6. We're coming up close to 1 year since Zangief's last major win, if I'm recalling correctly, which would be Snake Eyes winning US CPT West Coast. And the early parts of Season 1 of Street Fighter 6, this was the third CPT online premiere event. And since this time, there really wasn't too much Gief action on the highest levels because, quite frankly, he was not a really viable character at the highest level. He had a lot of bad matchups, he had some quirks with his combo conversions, and he didn't really have a lane to fit in. And many of the dedicated grappler mains, you might be thinking of people like Itabashi Zangief, they kind of went with the Marissa pick instead to fit that grappler brawler role, who was much more competitively viable. However, we're a few months into the season 2 competitive season 2 of Street Fighter 6 post balance patch, and if you review the patch notes, you know that the developers went through and just kind of grabbed the power level slider and just kind of slid it up higher on Zangief. Basically, every move had its stats buffed in terms of either building meter for Zangief or doing more damage or more plus frames on hit or block or doing more drive gauge damage. And the list goes on and on. Just scroll through the patch notes. This is just for Zangief here. Pretty much all buffs for the character. And the streets are feeling the heat of the effects. And I think these buffs actually were effective at giving Zangief a lane, because now on top of having his really high damaging SPD and his mix-ups, once he actually is able to get in to scare you with his command grab, he does a ton of drive gauge damage on block with his kind of decent, slow but decent range pokes. So now you're actually scared to block or parry against this character because you're blocking the normals, you'll get put into burnout quick. And then if you start parrying consistently, that means you're stuck in the mud holding parry. Parry also has more recovery now in this season. He can then get in range to command grab you and deplete a bar of your drive meter that way and do a ton of damage. So now he actually has like a real lane to fit in terms of his like brawler command grab archetype. And yeah, if you've been paying attention to Twitter, people have been going off. Here's Big Bird, the DreamHack Sweden champion, saying, "Every Gief I face now is somehow much more harder to beat. Doesn't matter what MR they have." A lot of people have been echoing these kind of statements. Mena RD offers a different perspective, talking about Zangief's strength, saying, "As someone that has played every Zangief in Street Fighter games, this still doesn't feel like a cheap version. It's just Zangief with great offense, like everyone should in this game. I think people got too comfortable with the pampered version in Street Fighter 5. So he's saying that Zangief was so weak in Street Fighter 5 that he got pampered with him. And quite frankly, Zangief always terrorized me because, I'm always scared of a good Zangief player or a bad one or, a decent one. It doesn't really matter. Zangief's a scary character, but, he hasn't really been competitively that viable for a long time. Decent in Street Fighter 5 towards the end. He had his heyday in Season 2, which I think the last time Zangief won a major was CEO 2017, Season 2 of Street Fighter 5 by Snake Eyes as well. And since then, he kind of became more and more irrelevant in the Street Fighter 5 meta as time went on. And then V-Shift in the final season of Street Fighter 5 kind of sealed the deal. There was just a lot of mechanics that went against Zangief at that time. So it's the first time in quite some time where Zangief has felt powerful in the eyes of the community. And you might be saying, okay, that's what people are saying. Where are the results? Where's the actual data to back this up? Well, look no further than the second international tournament showing we've seen this year, DreamHack Sweden, one of the qualifiers for the Esports World Cup, a little bit after DreamHack Dallas. Itabashi Zangief in there in the top 8, earning his qualification to the Esports World Cup to compete for $1 million in Saudi Arabia. There he is in 5th place there, rocking Zangief. He was convinced by these buffs to go back to his dedicated name, his namesake right there, Itabashi Zangief. It's in the name. He was playing Marissa for Season 1 mostly due to the fact that Zangief just didn't quite have the juice. And he had a respectable 5th place finish there, but arguably you could say he definitely deserved to have a higher placing finish because we've already shown off this moment on this channel. But here he is in winners semis against Kawano Zakuma. It's 2-2, final game, final round. The winner of this round moves on to the winners finals of the tournament, which is a guaranteed 3rd place finish. And look at the play here from Itabashi. Pixels away from burnout, eats the fireballs to avoid blocking to go into burnout, which allows him to have the drive meter here to go for the perfect parry in the DI. Counters the DI perfectly. He needed that perfect parry. He could not counter the DI because he didn't have enough health. Gets the Oki, forces the burnout. Perfect sequence there to get the calculated stun with his own DI, but drops the combo. He had 2 bars of super there. He needed a basic combo into level 2, and the wires got crossed, and he ended up dropping the conversion. definitely an amazing comeback that he fumbled at the end there. So he made all the right plays until that moment. It was kind of just like combo execution, hype, nerves all got to him in the final moment, and that cost him his winners finals appearance. And then he went on to lose to Hikaru's Aki after that, so ended up in 5th place. But it's not just Itabashi Zangief. You might be saying, okay, Snake Eyes, Itabashi Zangief, these guys have been doing miracles with Zangief for millennia at this point. Anybody else? Well, yeah, actually, we just had the first wave of World Warrior events, and in the UK, one of the most stacked regions for the World Warrior and the CPT in general, we see 2 Zangiefs, which are new names to me, are in the top 8. Tiny Tony and Noid both cracked top 8 with their Zangief, and they had some great runs. You can see here in the top 16. Noid took out Brictarium, another great Zangief player, and then Teeny Tiny Tony took out Quiggy, another great Zangief player in the mirror. So a bunch of Zangief mirrors knocking each other out. And then Rain Pro, top Guile player, he won the CPT Premier in the UK previously. So he eliminated the reigning champ from the UK, Capcom Cup qualifier, also qualified for the Esports World Cup with Zangief versus Guile. But also, if you look at Teeny Tiny's run in pools, he had a great run. Infectious. I think he's top 3 Capcom Evo in 2019. Great Capcom Cup performances. One of the best Street Fighter 5 players of all time. He came back for this tournament to play some Street Fighter 6 and was beaten by Teeny Tiny Tony. Tiny Tony also took out Shax, one of the best performing players out of the UK, and then dropped down to losers, where he then took out I'm Still the Daddy. So he took out some of UK's finest all in pools as well to make a great run into his top 8 finish. So terrorizing UK Zangief right now. But we have even more data here from Cat Cammy. Always coming through with the ranked stats. So once again, with all these ranked stats, take these with a massive grain of salt. They're very small sample sizes, and often ranked matches are influenced by, the stats are influenced by regional variety and regional matchmaking, and it doesn't give you the full picture. It gives you a part of a picture, but not the full picture. And you can see here, Zangief is actually, by win rate overall, in the 5th position with a win rate over the whole cast of 50.92%. Here. You can see him ranked A tier right there, 50.92% versus all, which puts him, versus the worst performing character, Marissa, 47.86% for Marissa. So not a huge percentage from the top to bottom. It shows that the spread is actually really even. And also, once again, take it with a grain of salt, because he's sandwiched between Ed and Manon for the 5th best character in the game based on these stats for 1900 plus MR players. So, ranked gives you a very limited view of the meta. I don't think anyone's clamoring to say that Manon is the 6th best character in the game. So, so just keep that in mind. But it's more data to show that Zangief is doing well in the online ranked street. So it might explain why you see people mauling about this character currently in the game. But that said, the reason why I wanted to discuss this today is because not these previous performances, but we have more Zangief doing work right now during this recording. It's still not done. I'm talking about, of course, Panga League. Panga Championship 5 is going on right now in Japan. And if you're not familiar with the Panga League, this was a really historic round-robin group-based tournament that's been going on for over a decade at this point. I mean, go back in the day, it was all about watching the grainy 360p footage, all with the Japanese commentators of the best of the world, invited out often for offline competition to play long set formats in groups. They would often have A, B, C groups, and even sometimes a B and an A tier, where you'd have to advance to the final group phases to play with the big dogs. And they play round robin long format sets to then whittle down the competition to a final pool of players. And then they play in round robin sets to determine who is the Topanga Championship. So it's a lot of gourmet matches. It's been going on for a super long time. Here's Daigo and Momochi back in 2015 playing some Ultra Street Fighter 4 right there. But also, it's home to some historic moments. They often invite international players. The final Topanga World Championship for Street Fighter 5 featured players like Mena RD, and of course, Anywalker there, Mr. Crimson joining the fray. And then, of course, if you remember Tokido, this historic moment, remember Tokido, he had the EVO Championship win. He almost had his own Capcom Cup win. He's so accomplished as a fighting game player. But after his exhibition set versus Daigo, I think this is back in like 2018, he ended up losing this set pretty badly to Daigo and was distraught, had this teary moment where he felt like no matter how much he had accomplished, if he can't beat Daigo, his mission to be the best fighting game player is not truly complete. Well, he had that moment in Topanga Championships for Street Fighter 5 here, where here he is up 6-0 against Daigo, And then here he sets up the V-trigger fireballs with the Kuma, sneaks in the grab, and starts showing the tears of relief here. Finally getting his win in long set format over Daigo the Beast, a goal he's been searching for so long, because no matter how strong he had become in long sets, Daigo was always there above him. He went on to win Topanga Championship that year as well, and also won in the final one as well with his Urian and Luke picks. So Tokido's always been a really consistent performer in the Topanga League format. And of course, things look a little bit different these days in Topanga Championship 5, which looks a lot like this. Speaking of Tokido, Tokido's not using Akuma during this league right now, but the rest of Japan definitely is. But that's a topic for another day as well. But what's different about this Topanga League as well is not just the Akuma pools. There's a different group going on that's offering some variety. And that is, of course, if you've been paying attention, Group C with these legendary players like Tokido, Sako, Gachikun. But the guy I want to talk about today is Kobayan. Down here, this Chad Kobayan is rocking Zangief in Topanga League. But he is doing a lot of work, but he's not brand new to the scene, because I actually had to do a little bit of research here. He's a relatively newer face in terms of the top-level competitive scene for Street Fighter, but he had a great performance at EVO Japan. You might not have recognized it looking at the brackets because his name is in all Japanese, but he ended up getting 13th place at EVO Japan, where Mena RD went on to win earlier this year in 2024. But he had a great run. He went on to beat Emperor, Rain Pro, Bonchan, Fenridge before dropping to losers by Tokido, taking out Gachikun, and then finally losing Xiaohai for a 13th place finish. An amazing run for pre-buff Season 1 Zangief. So now, what is he doing with all the buffs at his disposal here in the new season? Well, here's a taste of that. Here's Kobayan going up against Tokido, the man who put him into losers at EVO Japan, looking to get his revenge. In the corner, 1-1 in the set, first to 3 here. Low on the drive meter. Final pixel remaining. Perfect parry. Time to party. Oki with the SPD. Drive rush into neutral jump. Perfect bait on the wake up DI. The drive rush into neutral jump would bait out the supers as well. Baits up the DI. It's just a great bait option to cover multiple options on wake up there from Ken. Gets the punish. He goes on to win this set 3-1 over Tokido. But, you know, there's also some other heavy hitters in this group, including Tori Meshi. And if you're a Dhalsim fan, you know that Tori Meshi is one of the best dedicated Dhalsim mains for decades at this point. I don't even know how long this guy's been playing Sim. And he is in this group as well. And, you know, historically, Tori Meshi has, not Tori Meshi, but Dhalsim has been a hard 7-3 counter for Zangief. So surely Kobayan has met his match in the unwinnable matchup of Dhalsim. Well, here's another highlight for that match. 1-1 on the set here. Look at the whiff punish. Perfect spacing. Headbutt reset. Where are you going? Full cash out of the supers. One final guess. Drive rush in, light SPD. And Kobayan, that's only 2-1 in the set, but he goes on to win the first to 3 as well. And in fact, it's not just these matches. You know, after this one here, we'll see the final score, but he goes up once again against Gachikun. Gachikun is the last player he eliminated in his path to EVO Japan. This is the final match that he's played so far. You can see here, he's up 2-0 over Gachikun in this set. And you can see the clutch that this man demonstrates. In the corner, Rashid mix after the heavy Arabian Cyclone. I don't think so. Level 2, jackhammer, back to the corner. Time to guess. The pressure was too much. You don't know when the SPD is coming. Any one of these drive rush cancels the strings, could be reset to an SPD. Gachikun holds back for dear life and ends up digging his own grave in that way. 3-0 over Gachikun. So showing he's consistent against Gachikun here, both pre and post patch. And with that set, you know, Kobayan is not just bodying these players that I showed you here. You can see here that Big Bird actually pointed out, Kobayan leading his group only dropped a total of 4 games in 5 first to 3 so far. Kobayan is amazing, and Geef looking real S tier. So yeah, there's Kobayan, 5-0 in his group so far, 15-4 game record with a plus 11 game differential. Basically, he's won 11 more games than he's lost. And if you go through all the results, Even in the other groups, like Momochi is the closest one in his group to that level of dominance, but Momochi does have a loss 5-1 plus a game differential. Kopon is by far currently at this point in the Topanga Championships the most dominant player in the entire event so far with that plus 11 game differential. So he's showing that Zangief is not a fluke. He's doing big work against the best players in Japan. And, with all the discussion going around on Twitter about how good Zangief may or may not be, this tweet from Big Bird caught the attention of the man himself. And let's hear what he had to say about Big Bird saying that Gief might be looking real S tier. Kopon says, "Thank you. Gief is God character." So, from the man himself, no downplay. Gief is God character, so I expect to see a lot of Zangief action this season. Me personally, I think Zangief is very good. I'm not convinced he's God tier character or anything, but I definitely feel like he has found a lane this season. So I expect a lot of performances from top level Zangief throughout the season. So he won't be an irrelevant character at all. Myself included with everybody needs to practice the matchup heavily to try to survive the Zangief onslaught that is surely coming this season. So that's all I got for this video. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.